Beyond time and space that now wait before us, through sunshine and shadow, we must take the path unknown. Ahead is an undiscovered country of the unexplored. We will endeavor to embrace the mystery. We must dare to face the darkness. Come with me now. It's time for us to go hunting the shadows. Good evening, everyone out there in podcast land. My name is Dennis Carroll. I am your host for Hunting the Shadows, episode 54, C.I.A. Werewolves. Okay, we're going to have an interesting, very interesting evening ahead of us. I feel like I'm reporting to you from Hurricane Central outside. It's getting kind of dark, stormy looking, and the rain bands are swiftly arriving. So I hope we do not lose power during this broadcast and in the ones that are a couple of days ahead. But you never know. When the service goes down, they're not real swift about putting it back up. But that's life, especially in the southeastern United States. But that's the way it goes. But Helene is kind of a mad gal. She's coming to shore with a mission. Sounds like, and it is a mission of destruction. Absolutely, she's coming ashore with some anger. She's out to get somebody, and that's us. Unfortunately, we're in the crosshairs. I hope she loses steam very quickly, but you never know about this. We are under a warning, a hurricane cyclone warning tonight. Okay, so that's where we stand weather-wise. I want to welcome you all here tonight, and got a few announcements to make. I will be dropping another episode, Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise. Another episode of the Midnight Road, Excursions into the Unknown. Okay, that's coming up. I will also be doing another Scary Stories by Candlelight. You don't want to miss this one. It's going to be science fiction, okay? So you want to check that out, a science fiction tale of terror. And that's going to be coming up very soon. And tomorrow night, if everything goes as planned, hopefully, I will be on Midnight Lycanthropy with Mr. Kenny, and we will be talking on his show. And hopefully, also Friday night from Cryptid Warfare, Mr. Drewinski will be my guest. And I like to call him Drew, okay? Drew will be here. We're going to have some fun stuff, okay? Absolutely. Hopefully, if it works out, he's still online and I'm still online because where he's at, he's going to get some of this too. So we'll see how it goes. I think a lot of you out there listening to me tonight are going to get the effects of this storm. It's a big, and guess what? There's another one behind it. We'll see what happens. Absolutely. The nature seems to be on the rampage. I want to welcome everyone tonight. Let's see who we got in the house here. We've got Shiro and Crystal. Hello, Crystal. And Girl in Her Gong. Hello, Girl in Her Gong. Hope Gus is doing okay. And Wizard Moon. Midwest Night Watchers, my brother. From another mother, Mr. Gerald Fountain. He's in here. And let's see who we got. Violin Makes Me Cry. Mr. Philip Cleveland, the one and only. The toy legend. He's a toy collector. He's a legend. Okay. And then we've got Damaria and Ida and Dragonfly. And let's see who else we got coming in here. Who knows, may show up before the night's over. Mr. Kyle Smith. My nephew, Mr. Kyle Smith. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for the coffee and the book. They will go together good. I'll take care of them. Thank you so much for that. And nice little package you sent me. And Catherine, good to have you here. And let's see who else we got checking in. Let me see. It's moving right along here. I think that's everybody for right now. Mary's here. Hello, Mary. So anyway, yeah, this is gonna be an interesting night ahead of us here. It's gonna be an interesting evening. I'm gonna be talking about some things that I have never discussed before tonight, that I have kept secret for many years. Not because I like to keep secrets. I'm not that kind of a guy. But there are some secrets you got to keep sometimes. You know what I'm saying? There's some things you can't talk about sometimes. But I want to talk about this. I want to get it off me, off of my mind, off of my chest, you might say. And I'm gonna definitely be talking about this, about the time that I was, well, they tried to recruit me with the CIA. Okay, it's an interesting story, and I think you're gonna enjoy listening to it. Um, I want to make one more quick announcement before I get into the uh, story thing. There, I do have a Patreon now. If I can get it to come up on the screen here. I didn't want to come up for some reason. Let's see. There we go. Okay, come on up here. There it is. The Patreon. We now are open for full operation. If you want to join the Shadow Hunters, become an official Shadow Hunter. These are the real people who are investigating and exploring the uncanny and the unexplained. We would love to have you on board with us. Check on this link here and it will take you straight to the Patreon and you can see how you can sign up for that. We would love to have you. And I'm going to be having some very, very, very special stuff for my members. Don't think I won't. You got some very interesting stuff coming up, okay? Absolutely. And also want to say that if at any time you need to contact me, feel free to do so at either one of these ways. That's DennisWCurl.com or DennisWCurl@gmail.com. Okay, you can contact me at either one of those at any time for whatever reason. Okay, I am always open for that. Okay, believe me, I have counseled people all over the world, and I definitely will talk to you. Absolutely. Okay, let's get into our little discussion tonight. I hope you all have had a great week so far. By the way, had a fantastic show with my good friend Jessica, the Cryptid Huntress. Today, if you missed it, you need to go check it out. It will be on my playlist very shortly, but you can go to her site and check it out too. We did a great show on the melon heads. A fascinating urban legend. Absolutely. You need to check it out. It was wild. It was very good. We had a little bit of interference on there while I was there. I don't know. It was on my side, not hers actually. But we got a little spotty there. I think there were some pretty high winds at that time. So I think that might have had a little something to do with it. I don't know. Every time the wind blows around here, it does something with the wires around my house. I don't know why, but it does. But anyway. Okay, yeah, that was thank you there, girl gong. I'll try to get this link up for those that want to watch the episode with Jessica. There we go. There it is right there. Check it out. If you get a chance. It's those melon heads are very, very interesting. Absolutely. And check it out if you get a chance. You will be glad you did. It was a great show. Although Jessica's been a little under the weather here lately. She's had some problems. She almost lost her voice a little bit. I think she had a very bad case of laryngitis, which you will hear in the show. But she did pretty good. She's a real trooper. Okay, she pulled through. She pulled it off. Absolutely. And check it out when you get a chance, okay? All right. Yeah, you might have heard me talk about in the past. There's my wolf behind me, by the way. Hello. Wiley the wolf. Okay. Not the coyote, but the wolf. Okay. I found out not long ago that actually coyotes can run faster than road runners. We've been lied to our whole childhood. Think about that, okay? But anyway, uh, yeah, I used to tell the kids a story about Wiley and the Hairy Man. The Hairy Man is the original Bigfoot, okay? That's his original name. Before anybody started calling him Sasquatch or Bigfoot, he was known as the Hairy Man. Having seen Bigfoot, I can see why he's called that because there was a lot of hair involved in that. Uh, Absolutely. But yeah, anyone you've heard me talk about over the years the different experiences I've had. I've talked about black magic, and because I have actually seen it work, I know what power it has and what it can do, and why you don't need to mess with it. Okay. And I said this the other day. There's a lot of things I could tell you. I would love to tell you, but I don't think you could handle it because you might be tempted to play with it. And this is something you definitely do not want to play with. So there are some things that are best left unknown. But I'm going to talk to you tonight about something that I have kept quiet for a long time. And that is how I was actually actively recruited, tried to be recruited by the CIA. It's a very interesting story, and I haven't told this over the years, gone into great detail about it, because this is something that can get you disappeared real quick, if you know what I'm talking about. Things can happen to you. I have a good friend, Nick Redfern, who's written tons of paranormal books. I'm even mentioned in one of them. He wrote a book about the UFO phenomenon. I'm interested in that. I'm a researcher of the UFO thing for a long time now. There are a lot of people who have turned up either dead under mysterious circumstances, under so called suicides. There are a lot of people who have died under mysterious incidents that are connected to this. Why? Why is that pattern there? Well, you will find this pattern not just in UFOlogy, my friends. You may find it in certain aspects of the cryptid community. You may find it in spiritual research, ghost hunting, if you want to call it. You may find it in that, and you may find it in other things. There is, let me say this, and I want to get this out in the open for everybody tonight. There is an active, ongoing cover up that has never ceased in this world, my friends. And it is based out of the governments of the world, not just ours. I'm talking about all the governments of the world, because you've heard me talk about this before, okay? And I'll say it again. They are not going to tell you their secrets. They're not going to share their knowledge with you, okay? Now, any of you that know me know that I'm all about sharing knowledge, okay? I think we all need to do that on an ongoing basis for the rest of our lives. We need to share the knowledge that we have with each other. There's nothing wrong with that. I think our Creator wanted us to do that, okay, without a doubt. But the governments do not look at it that way. Certain operations in this world do not look at it that way. And there are shadow organizations behind our governments. Every government in the world, okay, is controlled by the forces of darkness, okay, whatever name you want to give them. Whether you want to call them the fallen angels, the Nephilim, demons, or bad guys, whatever name you want to give them. They are the ones that are instigating all of this. They are behind the full driving plan. They are the real true instigators of the real cover up. Okay? Now, let me say something right quick. I don't know if you're all familiar that much with Kolchak, the Night Stalker TV series. He was I always admired him because he was a reporter, a real reporter, not a shill for a Democrat or Republican Party. He was a real reporter, a real investigative reporter, and he kept running into cover-ups. Well, that is true. There is a cover up going on. Okay. And we talked a little bit about that on Jessica's show today. I mentioned it a little bit. There is an active cover up going on here, and it is run partially by the government and partly by the forces of darkness in league with the government. And what I'm about to tell you tonight is proof that I know. Now, I don't go out to try to prove everything to everybody. Okay. That's not my job. I'm not here to prove to you anything. Because you've got a brain. God gave you a brain. You can figure things out yourself. You can judge things for what they are. I'm just passing on information to you. Okay. You make the decision of what you want to believe. That's the way it should be. I'm not here to persuade you one way or the other. I'm just telling you my experiences, what I know, and you can take that at face value. Okay. That's all I can say about it. But we have to remember one thing, and I believe this wholeheartedly without a doubt. There's a very interesting passage in the Bible that says this: For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and wickedness in high places. Spiritual wickedness is talking about. So, what it's telling you, folks, is you're not dealing just with human beings out there from the government. Do you not understand that? You are dealing with other things that are involved with the government. The government is involved in a lot of dark ops out there, black ops, as they call them, black operations, dark stuff. Okay, and what I'm about to tell you tonight is proof for me, beyond any doubt, what these guys will do. And believe me, they threw the rule book out the window a long time ago. Okay, they don't go by the law. They think they are above the law. Don't you understand? The law was not written for them. They think the law was written by them. You understand what I'm getting at? That's the way these guys look at stuff. Okay, and when they look at you, there's something they can use or an obstacle to be removed. They don't look at you as a human being. Okay, but that's the way the forces of darkness work in this world. Okay. Well, let me tell you this, what happened to me, and this has been about 12 years ago. I got a phone call one day here at the house, and on the other end, this guy says, he says, "Are you Dennis Girl?" I says, "I am." He said, "I need to talk with you. I hear that you know a lot about demonology, that you're involved in that, and I need to talk with you." Well, I thought this was a potential client, you know. And I said, "Well, sure. Do you have a problem? Is there something going on?" He said, "Well, that's what I want to talk to you about." He said, "Can we meet somewhere?" I said, "Well, sure." And he gave me the restaurant. He said, "I'm coming out of Greenville. Greenville is a town next to where I live, a big town, big city." So I'm coming out of Greenville, and I'll meet you there at such and such time. I think it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon at this restaurant. The restaurant is not there any longer that I'm talking about, but that's where we met. And first of all, when we met, he had on 3-piece suit. Okay, he was a real nice looking guy. He had on sunglasses. He had on the aviation and aviator type sunglasses when he came in. This was in the summertime, I remember well. And he come in, and I had told him that I would be wearing a hat, which I always do. When I meet clients, I always wear my hat. That way they can pick me out usually out of a crowd. And I said, "I'll be wearing a hat." And he said, "Don't worry about that. I know what you look like." That's what he told me now on the phone when I talked to him in there. And I thought that was very peculiar. That should have been my first dead giveaway. Okay. Whether he'd pulled up my records or what, I don't know. I think he did. But anyway, I met him, shook hands with him. He sat down. He was a nondescript guy. I mean, I remember the way he looked. I think he sort of had a reddish brown like hair. Nice young guy. Nice looking guy, clean shaven, but he had an air of authority about him. I since having been in law enforcement, you do acquire that after a while. That kind of an air of authority. Some people push it to the limit, though, sometimes, but I won't get into that. But anyway, he had that air of authority about him, and he said, "Look, Mr. Carl said, I absolutely I represent the Central Intelligence Agency." And I said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "I want to ask you some questions. And then I've got something else I want to ask you." But he said, "I want to ask you some questions about demonology." I said, "Okay, right. Hold on just a minute before we go any further. Can you show me some ID and prove to me who you really are?" And he said, "Sure." And he pulled a holder out with a badge. It was not a badge like, but it was sort of like an emblem on it. And it had an ID, and sure enough, it had Central Intelligence. It had the seal, Central Intelligence Agency seal on it, and it had his name and picture. It was the real deal. It was nothing fake or made up, because I checked later on to make sure that this wasn't some kind of scam somebody was running or whatever. And I checked their ID, and it did look like that. Okay, this was the real deal. And he started then to ask me questions. He said, "I want to ask you," and he pulled out a recorder and a little small pocket recorder. He pulled it out. Said, "You don't mind if I record you?" I said, "No, it doesn't bother me." So he said, "Okay." So we started the recorder, and he said, "I'm talking to Mr. Dennis Carl," and he gave the date and the time. He said, "Now, Mr. Carl, I want to ask you a few questions. Said you know a pretty good bit about demonology." And I said, "Yes, I guess I do. I know a good bit about it." And he said, "You know about the occult, supernatural, stuff like that?" I said, yeah, yeah." He said, "Of course, I knew he already knew this. I don't know why, but I think he was just stating this for the recording." Okay. And uh, so I'm kind of taken aback by this because I never had this happen before, anything like that. And so he started asking me some interesting questions. He asked me, and I don't remember all the questions because I wish I could have recorded the session. I wish I had if I had known it. But anyway, he asked me, he said, "Are there certain ways that you can open," and he didn't call them portals. He called them, "Are there certain ways you can open openings into the spirit world?" That's the way he spoke. What he was talking about was portals. Okay. And I said, "Sure, that's part of the aim of a lot of dark magic, black witchcraft, and all that does that." And he said, "Oh, that's good, good." So that's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about that. He said, how do you do that?" And I said, "Well, I'm not going to go into specifics with you. I told there's certain ways you can do it." And I said, "You can do it with machinery or technology. You can do it with thoughts and intentions. You can do it with rituals and ceremonies. You can do it with blood sacrifice. You can do it in different ways." I said, "And sometimes it's naturally occurring in some places." He said, "Well, that's very interesting." So what? He said, "What would you do to close an opening like that?" Well, I'm beginning to really get kind of a strange feeling from this conversation. Okay, folks, I'm starting to think, why are you asking this? I didn't ask him that. I should have said that, but I wanted to see where this was going. And um, he said, "How do you close these openings once they're open?" I said, "Well, there's different ways you can go about it." I said, "Usually you close them the same way during the same kind of thing that you open them with. Okay. But there's you're just doing it like in reverse and all that." He said, "Well, that's very fascinating." And he said, "What happens if you leave these openings open?" I said, "Well, I mean, if you never close them," he said, "That's right." And I said, "Well, bad things can happen in that area, things that you wouldn't want to happen. Things can still come through. It's like leaving an open door to a building. Things can come back and forth through it." I said, and that's when I said, "Why do you want to know that for?" He said, "Well, this is just hypothetical. I'm just asking you some hypothetical questions." And he insinuated that so much that I knew that was a lie right there. I could tell this guy was lying to me. Okay, but I'm not surprised knowing who I'm talking to. All right. So the interesting thing is this conversation goes on a little bit longer, and he says, "Well, how do you do this with witchcraft, and how do you do it with technology?" And how he kept asking these different questions. I was trying to be as vague as possible. I didn't want to go deep into the explanations on any of this, not with this guy. But here's the thing that kept bothering me. It was like somebody throwing cold water on me. Okay, why is he asking these questions? Why does the government want to know about this? Okay. But anyway, I won't go too far into it. It kept going on, and the whole conversation lasted maybe 15 minutes. And that's when he said, that's very interesting. He said, "Can I contact you in the future if I need to know any more information?" I said, "Well, sure. You got my name, you got my number. I don't mind talking to you." He said, "Well, what about this?" He said, "Why don't you go to work for us? Why don't you work with us?" I said, "I can even make sure that you get paid, you know." And he said, "But why don't you work with us on some of this stuff? It would be a big help to your country to do this." And I said, "What do you mean? Are you trying to recruit me?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "You would be a valuable asset to your country." And he said, "There are others like you in a certain program that we have." Now, this is what he said. Listen to this very closely, folks. He said, "There are other people like you in a program that we have, and that they know things about the supernatural, the occult, paranormal stuff." Said some of them are actors in it. They can do stuff with that. Some of them just have the knowledge like you do with it. But we would sure love to have you on our team. So I'm sitting there going, what the heck is this guy getting at here? What he's trying to hire me with the CIA because of the supernatural aspects of us? Why does the CIA want to know this? And then, you certainly have a moment where, hey, these guys have, there's two things going on here, okay? These guys have either done something very badly and they're trying to refix it, trying to fix it back. They've done something, or they know something, or they actively in pursuing something because they're asking all these questions. And the second thing is they've got a team of people doing this. So that's when I asked him a very interesting question. I said, "What kind of people?" I said, "Do you mean you have psychics working for you?" He said, "We have some of those. We have people who know about witchcraft. We have people who do certain things, people who can do things with their minds." I think he was talking about remote viewers. He said, "We have people who are talented with the supernatural." That's what he said. And I kind of said, "Oh, you're talking about people who can shapeshift." That's when I started. I asked him, I said, "Are you talking about shapeshifters?" He said, "Well, we have that too." So I'm sitting there. This is a jaw dropping moment, folks. Okay. I'm sitting there. My jaw is on the table. And I'm saying, "I can't believe this. I mean, this is wild." And I said, "Well, really, I'm involved." I told him, I said, "I'm writing a book. I got a lot of stuff going on." I said, "I'll be available for you in the future if you need to contact me again. But I can't join anything right now." That's what I said. I said, "I've got my own group," and I did. I had a group going. I said, "Got my own group going. I really can't, do anything right now." He said, "Okay, I understand." But said, "I can contact you in the future if I need to." I said, "Absolutely." I said, "Do you have a card or something?" And he said, he kind of looked at me and said, "No, we don't do that. But I know who you are. I know where you're at. I can reach you anytime I want." And that was the end of the thing. He got up, turned his recorder off, put it back in his pocket, put his sunglasses on, shook hands, and said, "Thank you for your time," and left. And he was in a government car, by the way. And there I'm sitting at this table going, why in God's name did all of this just happen? You know? Now there's my story. What do you make of it? It was the weirdest thing I've ever run into. And you're right, it was a really creepy conversation. It gave me the creeps, I'll put it that way. But what did it admit it? He said, we have, when I asked him, I said, do you have shapeshifters? He said, oh yeah, we have that. We have that as well. And it's like it wasn't nothing. This guy knew a whole lot more, of course, than he was talking about, than he was telling. But he gave away a little bit. Not a whole lot, but a little bit of what they're probably up to. Now, I want you to think about the ramifications of this for a moment, folks. Does that mean the CIA have people who can turn into werewolves? Do they recruit vampires? Do they have witches? And most of those two I just mentioned are witches, by the way. A lot of vampires are witches. Real vampires are witches. So are werewolves. Do they have them? They have remote viewers. We know that. They have psychics. They have people who can do things. They have people versed in black magic. I'm going to tell you this. There are, and other people have told me, there are active groups hired by certain political circles that are covens that constantly put forth hexes and spells for them. These people are working in the background of our government. Think about this just a minute. The ramifications of this are mind-boggling. I think about it sometimes at night, and it bothers me. This is what we've got working out there. And the guy had the audacity to ask me, tell me that my country needs me. I would be a big asset to my country. That's wild. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think? Would you have taken him up on it? Would you go to work for the CIA? It might have been the last thing I'd ever done. I won't tell you what, but I've not talked about this for many years because this kind of stuff, like I said, can make you disappear. This kind of stuff can get you killed. Okay. That's why I never talked about it. I never told anybody very much about it. But I said, I think it's been long enough now that I'm going to put it out there anyway. What the heck? And if I mysteriously disappear or die under very strange circumstances, please, some of you out there, investigate and find out what the real deal is. Because maybe I went a little too far, told too much. Huh? But that's what happened. That's as sure as I'm sitting here and telling you now tonight what took place in that weird conversation. I'm gonna get your comments up here. Hold on. Legally paired the president's by patent law, something the energy law, nowhere. Legally paired. Okay. If the government will conspire to kill JFK, that's my point. They're liable to do. They threw the rule book out years ago. These guys will do anything. That's why I did not want to hook up with them. I know that. I knew that then just as well as I know it now. These guys will do anything. That includes get rid of you when you're no longer an asset to them. I know that. I'm not stupid. I didn't fall off the turnip wagon yesterday. You know what I mean? When you play with these guys, they put you in a burn notice or something. You done had it. That's it. That's the way it goes. But if you had to learn the dance, I don't know. Uh, but it was the freakiest thing. He was the real deal because I checked that ID. That was the real ID. The country doesn't need you. Any cult needs you. Yeah, that's the way it goes. No way would I work for the CIA. Knowing what I know, especially then, what I know now, especially, no way. But the funny thing is, he never did contact me again. As far as I know, unless he called. I changed my number, I think, not long after that. But he never did contact me again or try to. But I have been under surveillance from time to time ever since that day. I'm not saying that's what caused it. I think some other things contributed to that as well. But I think they're out there and they still watching me for some reason, or they've got me where they can put their hands on me anytime they want. Put it that way. Or if you have to learn the dance and legally paired to presidents by patent law, something the energy law. Uh, I mean, if the government will conspire, let's see, government uses what comes to the table with the best choice of action. Yeah, I feel like that same days. Some days I absolutely mash my thumb. Or that's it. Best to the presidents and under patent. But that's true. I mean, that just really got away with me. And I sat there for about like 30 minutes after he left, thinking about all this, wishing I could have recorded it. I wish I could have had a recorder in my pocket and recorded all this. I'd love for you to hear it. I would dearly love for you to hear this whole thing. It was wild. But the whole thing maybe was 20 minutes at the most, maybe 25 minutes. It wasn't 30 minutes, I don't think. Once you sign up for a secret government agent like that, it'll be very hard if you decide to leave, not to mention the non disclosure agreements. Also, usually when you sign up for something like that, my friends, the only way out of it is dying. I know that to be a fact. If Crystal says something happened to you, the shadow hunters will go hunting. I hope so. Believe me, if I turn up missing or something, please find out what happened. And get there right there. I think once you're there, there's no getting out. Yeah, that's just the way I felt about it. That's the one thing that came to my mind when he said that. We would love to, to join us. And I'm thinking, oh no, because that might be the last thing I ever do, and I don't want it to be that. I don't want to do it with the CIA. Definitely, like Hotel California. It will destroy your family, all or any connections. They can put a burn notice on you. You know what a burn notice means? They burn you down. You know what that means? They destroy you completely. Not only reputation wise, but financially, every other way. They will burn you down. You can never come in from the cold. Both knees, horses, of the daughter. Yeah. No, I didn't want you to mash it that hard. Okay. Be very difficult to get. Let's see. Tell us more about you. Okay. What do you want? What more do you want to know about me? I have studied the supernatural and the occult my whole life. I cannot remember a time when I was not fascinated by the paranormal, but certain things happened to me in my youth that directed me more down the path of the paranormal, you might say. And it doesn't just lie along spiritual research or ghost hunting. It went into every direction. I found this to be so fascinating because it had so many different slices of the pie that were there. Matter of fact, it was a whole smorgasbord. Okay. And the more I got into it, it was like quicksand. The deeper I got, the more I liked it. I began to haunt libraries. Back in those days, we didn't have the internet like you have now. Now you have the libraries of the world at your fingertips. I wish we could have had something like that 30 or 40 years ago. I've been doing this for over half of a century now. Okay. And it never gets old. I learn something new every day with it. I learn more and more and more. I wish that I could tap what I know and put it in a bottle for you that you could use anytime you wanted to. I wish I could do that. And I wish you could see what I have seen, my friends. If you could see what I have seen, you would understand. a whole lot more. Okay. And I don't think you'd ever rest easy again, though. I do not believe I don't sleep good at night. Okay. My nights, sometimes the memories come back on some of this stuff. I'm not going to get deep into that. But anyway, you would never rest easy knowing the things that I know. Um, but you got to know. Somebody needs to know. Somebody needs to know the score and what's going on. Okay. Might as well be me. But my whole life has been like this. I have dedicated as a scholar, as a field researcher, as an investigative researcher, as just a reader, whatever name you want to put on it. I have dedicated my life to that. That's my purpose. That's why I'm not married with a bunch of little kids. That's why I'm not a, I don't hold, although I do hold an honorary professorship, I don't have a class to teach. I have dedicated myself to this. I've paid a price personally, but that's okay. That was my choice. I'm not crying about it. But that's me in a nutshell. That's what I do. I love the library. Oh yeah, I knew my librarians knew me on a first name basis. They always did. Hi Jessica, good to have you here. There. Hope you're feeling better. Is that what happened to Robert David Steele? Burn those, might be, burn him down. When they decide to burn you down, they burn you down. You know what I mean? There's nothing left of you. When you burn something down, usually ain't nothing left but ashes, which is why I like the symbol of the phoenix so much. That's one of my favorite symbols, the phoenix. He comes back out of the ashes. You burn the phoenix down, but he comes back. Okay, and he rises up brand new again from the ashes. I love that symbolism. Actually, I don't know if you know this or not, but that was the very first Christian symbol. It was not a fish, it was not a cross, it was the phoenix, by the way. The score of Abraham Lincoln, the quest continues in love and gratitude. Robert David Steele was either unalived or faked his own death when in hiding. I feel he was unalive. Usually, I'm gonna tell you how incredibly hard it is. It can be done. I'm not saying it's far fetched, but it is incredibly hard to fake your death if they want to find you, my friends. There ain't no place on God's green earth that they can't find you. Don't think they can. You'll never be safe. You'll always be looking back over your shoulder. A lot of people who've gone into the witness protection program can tell you about that. You know, if you want to find somebody nowadays, it's getting incredibly hard to stay disappeared. It's okay to answer. Well, thank you, Beyond the Box. I appreciate that. But that's my story about how I was recruited, tried to be recruited by the CIA. That was mind blowing, and but I said to myself when after that happened, I can't tell anybody about this because this is too freaky, and I don't believe people's gonna believe a lot. A lot of people are gonna believe that anyway. But if you know me, this is my life. Okay, weird things happen like that. Okay, I need to write a book about all this. I definitely need to. I hope I live long enough to get it done and finished. Just some of the things, and like I'm telling some of these things on the Midnight Road for you, and I'm trying to do this with these shows. Some of the things that I've experienced. If I never get it down in book form, it will be in this form, hopefully. Hopefully. If it doesn't disappear along with me. Yeah, they can make you disappear very quickly. Entertainment purposes only. Yes, this is entertainment purposes only. What gives you the greatest strength today? I think faith, my friend. You got to believe in something outside of yourself. It's not all about you and all that. I could call myself the demigod Dennis. You know, I could puff myself up to be something fantastic and all that. But in the end, you got to look at the guy in the mirror every day and understand what you really are and where you're coming from. You got to live with yourself. But faith gives you something other than yourself to depend on. Faith gives you a gift of something outside yourself, something is you can hope for, something that is will better you. It's like, well, I think Voltaire said, a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? Very interesting quotation. I think that helps to have that faith outside of yourself. How old was I when they tried to recruit me? I was in, oh God, I was in my late 40s, I think. Yeah, it was like about 48, something like that. I think it was. It's been a while back. It's been a long time back. Um, I'm older than I look. I hope I am. Anyway, uh, but it's been a while back. The Constitution, the only way back. Well, I made an oath long ago to preserve and uphold the Constitution. That oath will die with me. Okay, I will never violate that oath. I certainly, I would rise to the occasion if my country truly, truly needed me for something. And I'm not talking underhanded, under the table type stuff. I'm talking about the real deal. I will not turn them down. Okay, I am a patriot of the first order. I believe in my country, and my God, and my country are number two things there. The number one, number two things, my God and my country, for me. I would not turn my country down if it was the real deal. Okay, I would probably give my life for it. I have taken that oath. I will live to it and die for it. But that was coming out of left field, definitely, if you want to call it that way. Hello, Juno. Good to have you here, man. You maybe want to go back and listen to my story at the beginning of this. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, uh, that was very strange. Very strange. But I feel like ever since that day, I paid a price for meeting this guy. I feel that ever since that day, I am and still are on their radar. Okay. And of course, being in law enforcement, the FBI knows all about me. State offices, they know all about me. I worked for the governor. They know all about me. Okay. My fingerprints are on file and everything, but I'm think without a doubt I'm definitely on their radar, but that's okay. That's the price you pay, I guess. I worked for a short time in the military and tell you that close friends I had died mysteriously vanished after taking some of the weird happenings that happened. I myself keep quiet, especially if you sign those non-disclosure forms. You better be very careful. Like I say, they can burn you down. It's awesome to hear. Thumbs up for you. But there's a Susan Renner Sue doll. Okay, hello Susan. Anyway, that's my story about that, and I do without a doubt believe, no doubt in my mind, that the CIA has these people working for them. They have shapeshifters, they have vampires, they have witches, they have ghost hunters, they have psychics, they have remote viewers. Some of the remote viewers are put there in place to block other remote viewers. Some of these people are there for that. This is the real stuff, folks. This is nothing made up. I know this sounds like something out of a comic book, but this is the real deal. This is really going on in this world. Okay, we've got to understand that it's real. 2005, International Energy Law entrusted power to presidents over a patent of any possible energy source, which still honors, thank you, that is legal trail. I love shadows. Oh, thank you, Channel Horse. Good to have you here. If you haven't subscribed out there, everyone, please do so you'll know when the shows come on. Okay, don't forget that; it's very important. Yeah, I don't want to say much, but it was Fort Campbell. Yeah, I want to tell you something. Okay, and I want to give you all a warning tonight. Okay, and this comes straight out of the Bible. I want you to listen very closely to what I'm about to say, because this is a rule I have followed my whole life when I learned about this back when I was in my teens. Okay, Jesus in the Bible gives you a warning. Now, I always listen to what he says, the words in the Bible that he has recorded as saying, and this is what he says: do not tell your plans. Do not tell everything you're going to do, or you don't say, I'm going to go there and do that, or I'm going to do that and go there. Keep it to yourself. Why? Because there are things listening out there, my friends. Not just your government, that's part of it, but there are other things that are listening to you. And if you make your plans known, okay, it can really trip you up. Think about this. This is true. I'm not making this up. The less you tell stuff on the media like you're doing right now and all this other stuff, it might be for your own best interest not to tell too much of things that you have done or what you're going to do or what your plans are. If you're going out of town, don't put it on Facebook. Do not do that, because then the thieves out there will know you're not going to be home. That's one thing, but I'm talking about other forces are out there watching. That's why they call them the Watchers. That was the original name. They're watching all the time. They're watching and they're listening, and they will act against you when they find out certain information. So be very, what Jesus was trying to tell you in the Bible is be very, very, very careful with your tongue. And don't tell everything that you know, and don't let that information out. It's very, very important that you understand this life rule. I made this a rule of my life. This is a life rule for me. Don't tell everything you know, because certain things are listening. The dark magic controls Congress, anti-trusting energy, intention against fossil fuels, and gains of the. Oh yeah, there's black magic and all this stuff. Don't you understand that? There are people right now. Let me tell you this: not just in Hollywood, not just in the news media. There are people in high positions practicing black magic, worshiping the devil right now. I'm not making this up. This is true. This is the real thing. And that's what I got out of that C.I.A. guy. Okay? Okay? What did the Bible say? For we struggle not against flesh and blood. It's not people, it's not humans that we're going up against, although that's part of it. They work for these dark forces. Humans work and employ just like they wanted to employ me. And say, these humans are being employed by the forces of darkness, but they're not human. The forces of darkness are demonical. Don't you understand that? They are the real bad guys. They are the ones covering this up. They work under the cover of darkness and shadows. That's why I call it shadow work. That's what they do. That's how they operate. They're not going to let you pull them into the light, because that would impede them from doing the things that they want to do. Don't you understand? That's why you got to be very, very, very careful. They're watching you. Yes, you. All the time. Don't think they're not. And certain forces will act against you. That's why you better have faith. You better be prayed up. You better have that shield and armor of God on. You better do it now. Now is the time. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not a few hours from now. Now is the time to get yourself ready against these forces, because they are actively working to burn you down. They will burn you down. They won't hesitate to do it. And I'm not talking about the CIA. I'm talking about The bosses, the ones who really run the CIA, the ones who really run our government, they're not who you think they are. They're much more diabolical, my friends, than you could ever imagine. That's what's going on in this world. People need to wake up and smell the coffee. Okay? Smell the bacon burning. It might be your bacon burning. Okay? Be very careful. Be ready. You need to get yourselves spiritually ready, physically ready, mentally ready, and emotionally ready. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Now's the time to start working on it. I know they will infiltrate your friends, family, and business. Absolutely. There's nothing off the board for these guys. That's why I don't want to work for them. Because they don't care what they do. Don't you understand? How low down, sorry, mean, and evil and dirty. They don't care what it is. They'll do it. Okay? That's why I used to have an aunt that said I should have been a lawyer, but I wasn't dishonest enough. Okay. That's my problem. I was too honest. I can never be a lawyer. There's an old joke about that. It said there was only one lawyer ever went to heaven. That was an accident. Girl Gone says I got your six. I appreciate that. I need people with my on my six, and I want to be on your six. Okay, because this is life's a two-way street here. But that's what we need to do. We need to be on each other's six, and we need to look out for each other. But we need to get ourselves personally ready for these things too. We need to get the hook up with our faith. We need to wear that armor of light. We need to get where we need to get, folks. Okay, it's time to quit playing around. It's time to quit playing around. We got to really hunt them shadows. Okay, we got to really hunt the shadows in our lives and in our world that are around us. We got to hunt them. Okay? We got to do it. It's time. The time has come for it. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. I found you. Oh, Jackie, Crystal Star Guardian. Hello. Glad to have you here. But I mean, we got to get ourselves ready. Okay? Because we are fighting a spiritual battle here for our souls. That's important. How much more important are you going to get than that? Think about it. We are fighting a spiritual battle for our souls, the souls of the people that we love, the things that we love. We're fighting for those souls and ours too. This is not something to play around with. This is not kid stuff. This is not comic book stuff, folks. This is the real deal, and it's going on right now, and it's going to require everything we got. It's going to basically require us to be ready for it. We got to get ourselves ready as soldiers. Okay, like soldiers do. You got to be prepared and be ready. That's what we're going to have to do. You want to know how to shut something they opened and couldn't close. That's what struck me is that they've done something. They've opened the door. Probably, I don't know if they did it technologically wise or black magic wise or ritual, however they done it. I believe they were desperate, asking people, "How do we close this door? Because it's open." That's just basically kind of what, if you hedge around what he was asking, that's what it sounded like to me. And that's what bothered me most of all. I said, what have they done now? What have they done that they're worried about this? I hope they closed that door. But I have to wonder because, ever since that time, the paranormal has been increasing. In this the last 20 some odd years, paranormal activities keeps going up and up and up and up and up. We call it getting closer to the veil getting thinner, but I think they might have pulled that curtain aside a little bit, don't you? I think they may have opened some doors they should have left closed, and they don't know how to close them, and maybe it's too late to close them. That's another thing we got to think about. But that's the feeling I come away with at a initial meeting. That's what I asked myself when I left that restaurant that day. What have they done that they would ask me questions like that. What have they done? That's still a question I have on my mind. They were fishing for your willingness to give information. And so, yeah, well, I give a little bit, but I didn't get deep into it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say you could do this, you do that. I kind of hit the highlights of it. I skimmed the surface, you might say. I didn't get real deep with this guy. I'm glad I didn't, really. I didn't really want to. Here's the thing about it. He seemed to be kind of a nice guy, but there was something not right about this guy. Okay. And I'm not saying he was a demon or anything, but I was picking up something off of him that not make me feel good. Okay. And you know, I've talked about that with you before about that spiritual compass you got. When it starts going haywire, you better pay attention to it. And when this guy, as soon as he sat down and started talking to me, my spiritual compass started going wacko. There was something about this guy that just I'm not gonna say it was pure evil, but it just wasn't right. There was something very bad off with that whole situation. And that's why I didn't really want to get deep in conversation with this guy. I was really ready to leave before he left. But when you pick up on something like that, you need to pay attention to it, definitely. But anyway, that's the story of when the CIA come looking for me. That was weird. I never would have thought that. I mean, that was far out. Even then, that was far out for me. Just like I say, don't give too much of your information out, especially on social media, because there are things everywhere watching, even the not on social media. There are things maybe behind your back watching and listening to you right now. They're there. We just can't see them. It's not a good idea to tell everything you know or let too much information out. You know, I've seen people do that. I've seen people, you can walk up to some people and start talking to them and they tell you the whole life story. Ever meet anybody like that? I say, don't do that. There's no need for you to do that. You know, they're telling us a lot of information we probably don't want to hear anyway. But what I'm saying is, you don't do that. Be very careful with your information. Okay. Only give it to those that you need to give it to. Absolutely. Hello, Brown Dwarf. Good to have you here, my brother. Anyway, um, great show you did with Jessica, by the way. Anyway, that's my story. As they say, I'm sticking to it. But if they ever contact me again, I've already got figured out what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to burn them down. If they ever contact me again, I got some words for them. I got some choice things to tell them. And how do you manage your energy so it's not? Well, that's the thing about energy. As you get older, it does escape you some, you know. But a lot of times it can be spiritual energy that that's your spirit. You can be down in that, like if you're under the weather and you don't feel good, or if things are not going right and you're distracted by something, you know. And I talked about that today on Jessica's show. Okay, the government, one of the good things that it does, it distracts you. There's a lot of distraction going on in this world, and it's on purpose, okay? It's not just normal distraction, like something falling off a shelf or something. I'm talking about this is distraction on purpose, especially by the government, and certain entities are good at this. They distract you and they get your mind off of what it needs to be on. Then this is a form of mind control. You got to understand that, don't you? Distraction can be a form of mind control. And then they come in with a second punch, and that is disinformation. They can give you misinformation. The cloud of water's up, so you don't know what the heck you're looking at anymore. That's the way these certain auspices work against us. So be careful about how they try to distract you and try to get your mind off of things that it needs to be. Have you ever been going, and we've all done this, okay? You go from one room to another and say, well, I got to go to this room and pick up a book and bring it back in here. And you get there and you look at something else, it distracts you from what you're doing. And you forget what you went in there for. That happens a lot. Okay? You got distracted. They use that. That's a weapon that they use against you. I mean, a big weapon. And they use it all the time. Forget about holograms. Of course, I'm sure they use holograms. I'm not getting into that tonight. But I'm just saying that distraction works equally well. Distraction and misinformation, they're good at it. Very good at it. That's psychops, okay? That's psychops. That's what that is. There are different types of psychological ops that they can run against people. Okay, don't forget that, my friends. It can be many different ways they can come at you. Okay, just like a snake coming at you sideways, they can get you when you least expect it. But that's the way they work on things. I had to focus to know the math of dog man DNA, like doctor giving surgery. How does one become a hunter of shadows? A song to tell, a real tale about meat, their weapons and gunmen. A hunter of shadows is what I am. That's why I call this show Hunting the Shadows. I've hunted a lot of shadows in my life. Different types of shadows. They can be shadows of aliens, UFOs, demons, ghosts, monsters. I do a lot of monster hunting. It can be a lot of these things. These things hide and lurk in the shadows, and they're the shadows of our lives and the shadows of our world, whether they be physical or spiritual. Shadows do not cast shadows. That's the sneaky part about them. Shadows do not cast shadows. Be careful when you walk in the shadows and when you're hunting in the shadows, okay? You got to be very careful. You got to be more careful there than when you're doing anything else, okay? Be very, very careful. But I think in order to survive, we must first hunt the shadows. We must be actively hunting the shadows in our lives and saying, oh, I need to get rid of this, or I need to do something with this, or whatever the situation is. Also, we need to hunt the shadows in our world, the things that they want to hide from us, the secrets that they want to keep, the deeds that they do in darkness. We need to pull this stuff. We need to shine a light into the shadows. Somebody asked me that one time. How do you hunt the shadows? You hunt them with the light. You shine a light into the shadows. That's the way it works. And that takes the power away from the shadows. What happens when you hit the shadows with light? They go away. They dissolve. They become nothingless. That's how you deal with shadows. You've got to expose them first to the light. You know, I have been approached by many spiritual entities in my time, demons, spirits, whatever the situation. And there's one thing that they cannot stand. And you know what that is? The light. They don't like the light. They are enemies of light. They are sons of darkness. Yes, we were born for these times, girl. Absolutely. We were born. Every person is part of the destiny of this world, too. Not only our own destiny, but the destiny of these times and this world that we're in. We're part of that, you know. I put on my Facebook the other day. Sometimes you meet people that you seem like you've known them your whole life. You like them, you make a connection with them. You know why? Because you were supposed to meet that person. That person was supposed to be in your life. That person is part of your destiny. Don't fight that. That's okay. It was meant to be. Okay? That's the way it goes. But on the other hand, you might meet some people that want to mess up your destiny. You got to watch it, okay? You got to be very careful. But when you find somebody like that you know and you instantly become a friends, you feel like you know this person, then I'm not going to say they're soulmates, but you feel like you know them, you got some kind of connection with that person, a good connection. I'm not talking about a bad connection, but a good connection. Go with that because that person is there in your life for a reason, a purpose. I don't think anything, I think very little, my friends, in this whole universe happens without a reason. There's a reason behind everything. I think without a doubt there's a cause and reaction and a reason behind everything that happens. Absolutely. That's just my own personal belief. But anyway, you got any more questions? There's love in your heart, like it, just for mine. Make the constant ever stream of calm is without a doubt and energy. Absolutely, you got to foster love. You got to, first of all, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, you got to love yourself. You got to forgive yourself for things that you may have done. And you got to love yourself. You got to love your creator. That's the most important thing. You love your creator, he will give you love for yourself, the good kind of love. He will give you love in your heart for other people. That's the main thing. That's the universal love that God gives. That's what He's made out of. God is love, and love is God. But it's got to be a not unconditional love, not a human love. You see what we're talking about. We think about things from a human perspective. Sometimes we need to get outside of that. We need to think about things beyond the human perception. This love I'm talking about is a universal God love. It's different than a human love. You might love your car. You might love your boat or your house or your dog. That's okay. That's something that you like, but it's not like God's love. God's love is different. God's love is in everything, and everything is in it. You understand that? And that's what gives you true peace. Peace of mind, peace of soul, spirit, and heart. Once you hook into that love, that allows you to love other people and see them as human beings. Let me say this, okay? When I look at you, or you look at me, we need to see another child of God. We need to see that person as another child of God. Okay? We need to love that person as another child of God. No better or no less than I am or that you are. God sees it that way. Okay? God doesn't love you any more than he loves me or somebody else down the road. You got to remember that. This love is universal. It's unconditional in that respect. But you can't turn your back on it. And if you turn your back on it, then you lose a lot in this world. But when I look at you and I see a child of God, I see somebody worth something. I see a human being that the Son of God died for. The ultimate sacrifice. If God felt that you were worth enough to let his own son die for you, think about that a minute. Would you do that for somebody? Think about it. He did. That's the kind of real love you're talking about. And that's the kind of real love that will give you the only true peace that there is in this universe. It's not going to be found by humming or sitting in a lotus position or meditating on the blue of the sky. That's not going to get it for you. Real peace comes only from God and the love of God. And God's love, whatever how you want to phrase that. You have to be blind to see, blind of all program and conditions to see how things truly are. Absolutely. You got to put the things of mankind away. I'm in awe of God, being in the presence of the living God without doubt brings me to my knees. Absolutely. Because he loves you more than you could ever love anything. Hold on a minute. Let me say that again. God loves you with a love that you will never have, that you will never obtain. Although how much you want to love something, he can do it a whole lot better than you can. He has a righteous, holy love that goes beyond mere human love, okay? Or any kind of human emotion for that matter. God, as it says in the Bible, God's ways are not your ways. They are high above them. They are higher above your ways. One day, though, one day, when you truly embrace your real destiny, you will be like that in many ways. You will have that perspective. He will give it to you because then you will be 100% what you truly need to be. We all will be in one way or another. Sometimes I try to fathom that love. It goes beyond imagination, Jackie. Absolutely. It goes far beyond that. We can't imagine. As Edgar Allan Poe once said, the most beautiful thing on this planet is but a mere dark shadow of what heaven is. Think about that as that description for a moment. That is incredible to think about. Our imaginations can't wrap around that. When you experience unconditional love, there's nothing that you can experience anything like it. Is the most humbling experience in your life. That is when you know it. Absolutely. And that unconditional love says, I will love you no matter what. No matter what. You know, just like your dog. Your dog is that way, and your cat can be like that. They can love you with unconditional love. It doesn't depend on what food they get. You know, I've seen dogs starve to death just to be with the person they love. Think about that a moment, folks. I've seen dogs go to their owner's grave and dig it up and get down and deep in the ground as they can, close as they can get to their dead master or mistress. That's love, my friends. And they'll lay there and die and starve to death rather than leave that person. Think about that a moment. Would you have that kind of love? That's true unconditional love. God loves you a million times better than that. That's hard. That's hard enough to wrap your mind around, but that's it. You know, like a child of innocence. That's exactly. And those who inherit the kingdom of God will be like a child. You've got to be like a child to inherit the kingdom of God. You know, I put it on Facebook the other day, and listen very closely. There are only two true kingdoms in this world: the kingdom of light, God, and the kingdom of darkness, Satan. Where does your allegiance lie? You got to make a choice. You can't stay on the fence. The devil owns that fence, by the way. You can't stay on the fence. You got to make a choice. You got to go down one way or the other. Will you embrace that kingdom of light, or will you embrace that kingdom of darkness? That's what Pontius Pilate asked Jesus. He said, are you a king? He said, if I were king, earthly king, my followers were fighting me. He wasn't talking about an earthly kingdom. He was talking about God's kingdom. I'm going to say something. I said this the other day, and I want you to listen very closely to this. What denominational belief is God? What religion is God? What religion is Jesus? None. They're not no. They're not religion. Religion is man-made. Okay, you got to understand that. It's got some good things about it, but it's man-made. Any religion is man-made. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, not the religion of God, not the church itself. We're talking about the kingdom. The church of God is the kingdom of God. Same thing. Okay. The real church of God is the kingdom of God. That's what it is. Are you a child of the kingdom? What kingdom? The kingdom of light or the kingdom of darkness? You can only make a choice otherwise. My friend Barry Littleton told me the other day, and it's very true. There's no gray here. Okay? There's no gray. It's either light or darkness, my friends. Which way you're going with that? You know, that's what your eternal destiny hangs on. That's how important that is. Don't brush that aside. Think about that just a minute. That's what your eternal destiny hangs on. Don't forget it. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There'll be no more death. There'll be no more mourning or crying or pain. We will be what we're supposed to be before it all got screwed up by the guy named Lucifer or whatever name you want to give him. I don't think Lucifer is his real name, but I won't get into that tonight. But anyway, it all got screwed up. It's going to get straightened out. In the end, it's going to all be straightened out. And you are going to be, if you embrace that kingdom of light, my friends, you are going to be what you were meant to be. 110% the person that you should have been all along, without the cares of life and worry about money and all this other social system. That'll be what's the end of the world. The end of the world is not going to be the end of this planet. Earth's not going to blow up into cinders. Okay, that's not the destiny of this world. Read about it. It's in the book. Okay? It's the world system that's going to come to an end. The world system is evil. The world system was built by Satan. He's the one that runs this world. He stole this world. God's going to get it back. And when God gets it back, everything's going to be straightened out 110% down the line. Everything. That includes you and me. We will live the wonderful lives of eternity without ever dying in super bodies that will never be no pain again and all that. Never be aging. You'll never get old. You will be super duper the way you should be. You should have been to begin with before you got infected with sin and darkness. That's what you got to look forward to if you're in the kingdom of light. If you're in the kingdom of darkness, you got only damnation to look for. You got a bad situation coming up. You don't want to go that route. You want to go with the kingdom of light. You want to go with the kingdom of God. And you must enter it as a child. You must enter it like a child with the faith of a child. That's what Jesus said. I didn't make that up. But yeah, you got to remember the Pope said something the other day with that lie. Remember I told you about the 7 deadly lies? Remember that? All religions lead to God. That is a bunch of bull, okay? Religions are man-made. How could he dare say something like that and be a pope? I don't understand that. But anyway, that's ridiculous. All that's man-made stuff, okay? You can have a personal, one-on-one relationship with your creator through his son who sacrificed his life for you. How hard is that? Think about it. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him shall not die, but shall have everlasting life. Pretty plain. That's pretty plain. I mean, how can you argue with that? But some people do. You set the eyes too much on religion. And what man says you need to do this, you need to do that, you gotta do this, you gotta no. God doesn't do that. God doesn't push religion anywhere. You show me where he pushes religion anywhere. He done. He don't, because it's a man-made thing. Just like, I told you about male and female, okay? God created male and female. He created them. Anything other than that is man-made, okay? Think about that a moment. And I'm going to tell you something. You give me a choice between something that God made and man made, I'll take what God made anytime because he makes things perfect. Man does not. Man screws things up. You'll never be making anything perfect until the day God makes him perfect. Blatant lying, Vicar of Christ. Yeah. All religions do not lead to God. Not the real God. Okay. Jesus had a warning about that in the Bible, talking about the end of days. He said they're going to come to you and say he's out there, or he's out in the desert. Go see him, he's over there. He said, don't listen to him. They're lying to you. When I come, every eye will see me, like the lightning from the east to the west. Every eye will see me. You won't be any doubt who he is. You won't be somebody coming and whispering a secret thing. You need to go check him out over here and all that. The real deal don't hide in the shadows, my friend. That's the way it goes. But anyway, I get off my soapbox tonight. That's my story about the C.I.A. Okay? I hope they never try to recruit you. It didn't do them any good with me. But that was a very weird meeting. Some people have asked me, over the years to join in their groups and stuff like that. That wouldn't be that bad. I have joined some groups once in a while to help out and be mentors of people. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not one to join too much. I'm a lone wolf. They were barking up the wrong tree, okay, when it came to me. And the Pope Silk Clusters, Albert Einstein's metric something. Yeah, that's right, Channel Warhorse. Absolutely. You show, man. Listen to work it every day. Oh, okay. First up, 13. Good to have you here, bud. All right. I've seen the chronometer. Oh yeah, the photos. And there's any credence to that? I don't know. There's a lot of conjecture on the chronometer. I think it was Alexander Graham Bell was supposed to be working on something like that, and so was Edison. There are some rumors to the fact that they may have actually found a way to record sound that was spoken years and maybe centuries ago. The imaging would have probably been Edison because he was in the imaging and Bell was in the sound. But supposedly they were working or connected to the Vatican in that respect, and that's why the Vatican supposedly got the chronometer. But I'm gonna tell you something about when you get into the secrets of the Vatican. Probably why most of their secrets are being kept secret is because those secrets would make the Pope and the Catholic Church look bad if they got out. That's why they hiding that stuff. A lot of that, the stuff they hiding, is because it would be bad public relations if it got out. Because there have been popes. I think one pope that said that about Hitler. Said, "Oh, he was a nice gentleman." So you got they're trying to hide a lot of secrets that would make them look bad. That's what they're doing. That's why a lot of that stuff is hidden. But there may be some other things that they don't want us to know about too. Definitely. I would love to spend a couple hours in the Vatican vaults. Yep. But anyway, I don't think I'll ever get to do that. Probably couldn't read most of it. It'd be in Latin or something. I can read a little Latin, but I've had to learn Latin over the years because the weird thing about it is demons know Latin very well. That's another story for another time. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight, and I appreciate you being here. It's been very interesting, and I thought I just wanted to get that out, and in case something happens to me, at least there'll be a record of it. But uh, like I said before, I used to have to watch. I'm watching it again. It's on Prime, on Tubi, I think. I'm watching Erie, Indiana. Remember that show, Erie, Indiana? I love that show. It was not long enough. I loved it. But the young guy, always had the locker, the cupboard with all of his evidence in it, and he wore a key around his neck, you know. And he would always start out his show, be writing in his notebook, and he'd say, "If I should mysteriously disappear or die under weird circumstances, please investigate this." Okay, Erie, Indiana. You remember that? That was a great show. I'm watching it again. I hadn't seen it in a while. But anyway, I always think about him wearing this key ring. By the way, I'm wearing the star seal of the seven archangels. If you got one, are you wearing yours? Okay, you need to wear it. It's blessed now. Don't forget. And let me know. I've got a few left if you're interested in purchasing one. Okay, they're $14.95. That includes shipping. Okay. We just finished dog training, surprise hunting. The shadows is on. Oh, okay. Well, you need to go back and listen to this, John Fortman. You may find it to be a very interesting show. I'm talking about something I've never told before about how the CIA tried to recruit me. So you might want to go back and check it out, John Fortman, Coco. You might want to check it out. It's an interesting story. But anyway, I appreciate you all being here tonight. And remember now, Friday night, paranormal point of view. Hopefully, we'll make it through the hurricane. And I hope you don't get too much of it wherever you're at. I think my friend Gerald's going to get some of it. And my friend Drew from Cryptid Warfare, he's going to get some of it because he's in Tennessee. They're going to get some, definitely. So we'll see how it goes. But hopefully Friday night, if the Lord willing and the creeks don't rise, paranormal point of view at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be good. We're going to talk cryptids Friday night. And maybe also I may be on Midnight Lycanthropy with Kenny. And hopefully we'll get that done too. That's going to be a radio thing. And if I do that, I will post a link for everyone to go listen to it with. Okay. And yeah, the Midwest says it's heading our way. I'm afraid so. This is a mean gal, Helene. She's going to leave us with some bad memories. Absolutely. Yeah, prayers for everyone in the path of the hurricane tonight. Absolutely, girl and gone. And I appreciate you all being here tonight. And it's been an interesting show, I hope. And I entertained you for a while. And remember, the road is dark and the seed is sowed where the gun is cocked and the bullet's cold, where the miles are marked in the blood and the gold. I'll meet you further on up the road. That's one of my favorite songs, by the way. Johnny Cash did a great job on it. I'm not too big of a Bruce Springsteen fan, but anyway, I love that song. That's neat. But I appreciate you all being here tonight, and check us out. And don't forget, I have a Patreon. Let me bring that up again right quick. Patreon there. If anybody wants to join and become an official shadow hunter, okay, you can join my Patreon. There it is right there at Hunting the Shadows Podcast. Okay, check it out. And if you want to join up, you can join us, the originals, explorers of the uncanny and the unexplained. I'm going to have some great content coming up for the members. If you're not a member, you might want to think about it. And join us in Hunting the Shadows. You become an official shadow hunter. Okay? Check out my Patreon. And please support us. Please ring that bell. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Okay? And we appreciate that. And I appreciate you all being here tonight. Hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. This is hump day. And I hope the rest of the week goes great for you and we don't get blown away from the hurricane. Okay. And as I always say at the end, until we meet again, okay, fear no evil and embrace the mystery. Until we meet again, my friends, Godspeed.